Hello, it's Peter Merrick, and we're at the end of the day. And I just want to talk about what makes a country worthwhile to invest in. These are things that I learned when I took my security courses 30 years ago, and it's something that people have forgotten. One is the rule of law, a stable government where there's a transition peacefully. People also want to know that there's a rule of law. And what that means is when a country says they were going to do something, they will. It's not going to be at the whim of the government. So if something goes wrong, people have recourse. I just want to share something with you. When I started out early on in my career, I worked for a company and they brought us to a factory of a startup company that was making batteries. And these were phenomenal batteries. And I went and I took it to one of the most successful men I knew at the time. And he taught me a lesson. And the lesson was this. He said when he started out, he worked with a really successful businessman, and the piece of advice he had gotten was this: where's the fire escape? And that is really the question. If you invest in something, you want to make sure you can get a return. You also want to know that is the worst case scenario dealt with. That means if things go to shit, you'll be able to get out and you'll be able to mitigate, lessen your losses. And that is why people avoid many countries, because they are frightened that if something goes bad, they will not be able to get their money out. Now, one of the saddest things that has happened in the last year is what happened in Canada. The truckers decided that they had had enough. Their businesses were being threatened. These were self-employed people who drove up to Ottawa. They had bouncy castles. And the prime minister, who had a minority government, implemented the War Measures Act. This put Canada under martial law. His deputy prime minister, his his finance minister, a woman who also sits on the board of the World Economic Forum, Christina Freeland, she implemented something that scares investors and scares individuals who live in those countries that actually act this way. They made it under the War Measures Act that they could seize bank accounts. Think about that. The biggest fear that people have is a company is nationalized, their bank accounts are frozen, and the country does not follow the rule of law. So if you are investing in a country and looking for a life, the things that you have to look for are stability of government, the rule of law, and the fact that they are pro business. Because every country in the world that actually has been pro-capitalist has done well. And really, what is capitalism? True capitalism, not crony capitalism. It's that you set something up that is providing a good or a service that people want. And if you provide that best service that you're able to do, you will find patrons and they will purchase from you and you will make profit and you will get better and the country will do better because the way that GDP is calculated is through transactions. And you want it to be positive transactions. So I want to give you an example of some of the sad things about how GDP is calculated. When the Exxon Valdez in the 80s had this massive oil spill, it added $5 billion to the Alaskan economy. Think about that. Zeros and one. That means if I go to the Amazon and I cut down all the trees, according to GDP, it will go up the way it's calculated. It does not take consideration of a pristine forest or an aquifer that we get clean water from, or people who take care of other people. So when you're looking at investing in a country, You want to make sure that the country is doing its best for its people by actually providing rule of law, stability of politics, and an environment that people can choose to work and trade with anybody they choose. And they're not putting any obstacles to trade, saying that you can't come to a country because you need to participate in something that you didn't want to. That you're able to just go and fly in, do business, conduct it, make opportunity. Years ago, I was asked a question on national television, and the host asked me if they believed that I thought there was going to be a recession. And I said, yes, a recession happens every 4 years. But I wasn't scared. And the reason was people trade with people. People look for opportunity. And you want to know something which is so wonderful? You have an idea, I have an idea. I'll share my idea with you. You share your idea with me. And I started off before the transaction with one idea. At the end, we both have two unique ideas, and from that we can build three. Because I want to share with you that there's two ways to look at business and life. You can be a finite player, that's win lose, that means there's limited resources, or you can be an infinite player, where you want more and more people to participate and benefit. And you want to know something? When the watermark rises, all our boats rise together. Have an awesome night. And I look forward to sharing with you some crazy stuff that I'm looking forward to bringing to you soon. Have a good night.